All right, it's just past 10 o'clock. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another edition of our long coffee break. My name is Devin Gash, and I serve the role of air distribution sales engineer in Colorado and Southern Wyoming. Today, we're going to be talking about Denlar and integral fire suppression and the code 300A. We're going to be covering some Denlar options and accessories, some applications where you use them, and we're even going to see a little demonstration on how our Denlar hoods work. Today, my co-host is Jessica Tomzak. She is our sales manager, has been with Denlar for just over 8.5 years. Jessica, I'm going to take you off mute and let you go ahead and take it away.
Okay, great. You have the presentation up?
Here you go.
Perfect. I can't see it, so I don't know if anybody else can.
Any luck now?
No.
Oh, give me a second here, everyone.
I'm happy to go ahead, but I figured everybody would like to see what we're talking about too.
Hey, Devin, I do believe we're seeing it. There you go.
All right, there we go. Jessica?
That's really weird. Oh, here it is. Okay, now I got it. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about fire suppression and 300A and really going into what 300A is and really why you need to protect a residential grade range or cooktop when you're cooking, and especially in a limited commercial space and what that means. So first, we're going to be talking about why fire suppression is needed, what UL 300A is, NFPA 101 Life Safety Code, what that is, and how it applies to 300A. And then finally, we'll talk about some UL 300A applications. So the first thing to know is why fire suppression for residential ranges exists. As some of you are probably well aware, cooking fire is the #1 cause of building fires across the board. When you look at communal buildings or household fires, the numbers are insane. So here are some statistics on that. If you look at specific applications, for example, college campuses, 87% of the fires on a college campus are caused by cooking. And in for fraternities and sororities, those numbers are actually even higher. Something like 66% of daycare fires are due to cooking fires. So really insane numbers. And as you can see here, 187,500 reported communal fires per year on average. So crazy statistics there. So obviously we want to protect against that risk. So we have developed some products to help do that. So our products are listed to UL 300A. Well, what does that mean? In order to understand that, I like to take a step back, look at that full commercial hood that most of you are already familiar with. This is what you're going to see. You go out to eat in a restaurant kitchen or in a cafeteria, if you're in a hospital or dormitory, even in a college kitchen. So what you'll see is there's a pre-pipe system, there's multiple discharge nozzles, and there are multiple cooking appliances being protected here. You can see there's a grill, a griddle, a deep fryer, there's a pull station, there's going to be a fuel disconnect. It's going to have a wet chemical system. And when you look at a UL 300A system, we're basically can look at us as a subcategory of that. So what we are doing is 300A is specific to being used in a limited commercial space to protect a residential range or cooktop. So that is maintaining the same things. And in order to be tested to UL 300A standards, we have to go through a rigorous testing process. There's several tests that have to occur with pots and pans of oil on fire, and we have to wait for the system to put out that fire. So it's quite the process. There's no draft, the fan can't be on, and we're installing it just like it would be in the field to do that testing. So just a little bit more about what that takes to be listed there. So where does 300A apply? Well, there are some codes referencing UL 300A. So you'll find in the International Building Code, for example, Group I2 codes, Group I2 facilities rather will require UL 300A. Group I1 cooking facilities and care facilities. Dormitories will require them. And then Denlar has a PMG listing. It's PMG 1122 with the ICC. And we also have a document called LC 1031 that really explains the scope of where one of our D1000 hoods can be used and what type of applications it applies to and what codes are mandating it there. In addition, NFPA 101, it's known as the Life Safety Code. It's predominantly for residential healthcare. So any edition from 2012 and newer has virtually the same requirements. So they require to have a UL 300A suppression hood, minimum of 500 CFM, a manual pull station, fuel source disconnect, and you also have to have a 120-minute interlock device. So what we do is we actually package all of those things with our D1000 to provide an NFPA 101 compliant version, and we call it our NFPA 101 upgrade. But you'll see a lot of those things in places like healthcare facilities and long-term care. So we have two core hoods. The first one is our designer series. This was introduced primarily to actually compete with retrofit options that were being in military housing when it came out. So it's currently available in a 30-inch option. We are working on a 36-inch, so that should be coming soon. And it maintains a fail-safe, fully mechanical actuation method. We have a fully integrated suppression system. We have fire alarm connection. They can tie in with a dry contact. It has two glass job links. So if you happen to be in your office today and you look up, you see your sprinkler system, chances are you'll see a little glass bulb there. Those are the same links that we're using in this system. We have two discharge nozzles, and they have it's conical spray. So the spray is going to get wider the closer to the range it is, and that's how it's going to be adequately able to protect against that cooking fire. The designer is available to protect a gas, electric, or dual fuel stove. We have multiple venting options, including recirculating or top discharging. We can provide a pull station with it, handicapped accessible controls, our clock box, and it can come with it comes with a standard 2-year product warranty, but we have an optional extended warranty available as well. The next core model we have is our D1000. Again, multiple configurations and options within this unit, designed to protect either a 30 or a 36-inch range. It maintains a fail-safe actuation. So you've heard me say that a couple times. What that means is what's putting out the fire is a fully mechanical process. There's no electricity involved in putting out a fire within our hoods. So we are maintaining, again, that integrated fire suppression system, which means there's no calibration of where the nozzles are or installation of the suppression system itself while you're in the field. We have stages of pre-suppression and environmental monitoring. So we're actually trying to prevent the fire from occurring with those stages of pre-suppression, and we turn on the heat fan, and we're going to remove the heat source in the second one as well. And then the environmental monitoring is designed to help protect against any risk of a fire being present when the system's not able to put out the fire properly. So for example, if somebody had serviced the system and didn't connect the tank properly, it's not going to allow them to cook as part of that system. So the D1000 is available with multiple options and accessories. As you can see here, we have the manual pull station, again, handicap accessible controls, our clock box or the clock box pro. We offer a limiting speed controller when it's not an NFPA 101 compliant model. What that does is that's a secondary speed controller to set the maximum CFM output of the hood. We can work with a makeup air control system, or we can provide damper control if there is one. The clock box I will talk about next. I see that question. And we also have the ability to have multiple color options with both of our hoods. The clock box, to answer your question, is a password protected cooking element control system. It can work with or without a hood. And how it works is the user is going to enter a password, and it's going to unlock power to the stove for that period of 120 minutes. The reason why it's preset to 120 minutes is because that's what's required to be compliant with that NFPA 101 code that I talked about before. In addition, the ClockBox Pro also contains light and fan controls, the ability to provide system analysis, and building monitoring system. And it has a system bypass to help with troubleshooting in the field. So it has some additional features beyond just that timer control system that the standard clock box offers. Some examples of where you might put a Denlar product, and certainly not limited to it, are assisted living facilities, schools, dorms, occupational therapy, firehouses, churches, rehab facilities, really anywhere you take a residential range and you put it into a limited commercial space would apply. Where you would not put it is where you're selling a product that's being cooked for a profit. So, for example, it could not go into a cafe or something along those lines because they're selling what they're cooking. And here I have a quote from a fire marshal. It's always good to see what somebody's saying who has installed products. So this is Justin Daniels. He's the fire marshal of the University of Oklahoma. He's also the Campus Fire Safety Forum president, which is an organization that Denlar is active within. But he said this was after an installation that they had. I can say that I've been impressed with the product. The commissioning of the 13 hoods we recently installed in our new residence hall was a piece of cake. The system appears to be easy to test and inspect also. And again, that was Justin Daniels. So in conclusion, what all of that means is we are preventing the fire from actually occurring within the D1000 with stages of pre-suppression with temperature switches, which will activate the fan. We are controlling who has access to cooking and for how long with our clock box and the clock box pro. We are maintaining a mechanical actuation, and that's really important because there's no electricity needed in order to put out that fire, which is something that no other manufacturer in our product category can say. And here we have a discharge video. So I'll kind of walk you through what's happening. But you're going to see in a second, the heat's going to flare. Excuse me. And as the heat continues to build, it's going to reach the temperature is going to increase at the links themselves. This is our designer series, for those of you wondering. And you're going to see in a second, the link assembly is going to break. And when that happens, you're going to see also the discharge nozzle caps are going to come off. And that suppression, you can see that spray gets wider the closer to the stove it gets, and that fire flares quickly and then it's put out. When it pans out in a second, you're actually going to notice that there's this foam blanket on the stove covering the pan that was where the fire was. And this was a fire test from our facility, so this was just a pan of oil. But that foam blanket process is called sponification. What that does is prevent oxygen from getting onto that pan, so it prevents that fire from being able to ignite again. In addition to the suppression of the system, it also shut down the stove, and it's sounding an audible alarm, which there's no volume on this specific version, but normally if you were there, you would hear that. And it would also alert a fire alarm system if it was tied into one. And this is just a couple installation pictures so you can see what it looks like. I see there's a question about the flare. So if there was a flash fire, for example, we offer a manual pull station that the person on site could utilize in order to discharge the fire, and that's going to be the path of egress, so it shouldn't be anywhere in close proximity to the stove. Hopefully that answers your question. And with that, I really want to leave it open for any other questions. And this is my contact information if anybody has anything, and we'll turn it back over to Devin.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jessica. Great presentation. If anyone here is interested in Denlar, wants any further education or has any questions, feel free to reach out to your long sales engineer. Katrina with Denlar is local, so she's always open and free to provide a lunch and learn, anything along those lines. Also, if you want a Denlar hood for your house, feel free to reach out to us. They're a super slick product to keep you safe. Moving next week. Thank you so much for your time and have a great rest of your week.